Welcome to Two Witness Teaching Program. Two Witness, a Bible teaching program to change and transform people. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Let's dive into it.
Chapter 24, instructions on the lamps and the showbread in the most holy, or in the holy place. It was commanded that the lights would be trimmed or filled with oil twice, once in the morning, once at night, so they would burn continually. Verse 5, take fine flour, bake 12 cakes, 2 tenth deals and 1 cake. Set them in 2 rows, 6 in a row, upon the pure table before the Lord. And so 12 loaves of bread representing the 12 tribes of Israel on the table. Verse 8, every Sabbath he shall set it in order before the Lord continually, being taken from the children of Israel by an everlasting covenant. And it shall be Aaron's and his sons, and they shall eat it in the holy place, for it is most holy unto him of the offerings of the Lord. So, just interesting, the instructions for 2 more parts of the tabernacle are inserted in here. We've already covered those pretty much. Verse 10, we see that cursing God carries a death penalty. The son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out from among the children of Israel. And the son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed. And they brought him to Moses. Verse 12, they put him in ward, that the mind of the Lord might be showed them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, bring forth him that hath cursed without the camp. And let all that heard him lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, whosoever curseth his God shall bear his sin, and that he blaspheme the name of the Lord, he that blasphemeth shall surely be put to death, and all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger, as he that is born in the land, when he blasphemeth the name of the Lord, shall be put to death. So another death penalty here. You'd think that all of these would be enough deterrent for the people, that no one would be committing these sins, but we see they do commit them, and it gets much, much worse than this. 17, he that kills any man shall be put to death. He that killeth a beast shall make it good, a beast for a beast. If a man cause a blemish in his neighbor, as he hath done, so it shall be done to him. Breach for breach, which is a fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he hath caused a blemish in a man, so shall it be done to him again. So this brings our mind to another New Testament passage we'll recognize, where Jesus is going to change this. You've heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, but now I say unto you. So it's good to know that it's not that way anymore. I'd hate to think that in some way, if you harmed your neighbor, that would come back on you. But they had to have some sort of penalty. 22, you shall have one manner of law, as well as for the stranger, as for one of your own country. I am the Lord your God. Moses spake to the children of Israel, that they should bring forth from him that had cursed out of the camp, and stone him with stones. And the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses.
Okay, I think part of what changed when Jesus came and took us to a higher level, if you will, in Christianity, was the separation from the people of God being one natural nation on the earth. There was going to be a separating out of that, pulling out. God's people weren't just one nation, and God wasn't just working with them, but there's going to be a separation out of that, and God's people will be anyone who comes to him through Christ, anywhere on the earth, any kind of nationality, living in any country, anywhere. And so, are these good laws? Yes, they were. They were the best laws Israel could have for a people that was one natural people that God was working with at the time. And these are still good laws for governments to have laws where there's retribution for things, for civil governments, it's still good. Death penalty for doing horrible crimes, it's still good. Now, what's separated out of that is that in the body of Christ, we're going to follow the spirit of those things. And we understand the goodness of them and their application to civil governments. But when we look at the example of here where someone blasphemed the name of the Lord and they're separated from the people, we might have to do that. Not that we'd put them to death, but they could be excommunicated from among us. They're cut off, they're dead to us because they blaspheme God. We can't accept them into our congregation, into our church meeting, pretend there's nothing going on. But we have to cut them off. We have to make a separation. And so spiritually, these things all have implications, and we are going to follow the spirit behind all this. What was the real reason for that? The real reason was get the sin out of the camp. And we will do the same thing in the church body. We're not going to allow sin to come and reside with us and in and among us, but we're going to separate it out. And to us, these people will be dead because they're cut off from God. They blaspheme God. We don't have association with them. So that's part of, I think, what explained some of this. Why doesn't some of this, well, come on, brother, let's gather our stones, let's go kill somebody. We're not going to do that. Were those good civil laws? Yes, but there's been a separation now, and we're a spiritual people, and we're a spiritual nation. We're going to apply the same logic, the same rules, but in a spiritual sense, and we're going to come to some different conclusions in how we implement it, but the spirit of it is going to be the same. There's nothing wrong with the law. There's a different situation now. God doesn't have one natural people in one place working with them, and so there's been a separation from civil laws versus the spirit of the laws, which we still implement in the church body. Chapter 25, and I want to get to chapter 27 because that's the tithing chapter, and we all need to get there. Right? Just having some fun. Yeah, maybe we can finish today. The Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. And he's going to talk about 6 years of sowing and reaping the land, but you're going to give the land a rest. In the 7th year, you're not going to sow it. You're going to let just whatever comes up there grow naturally. And again, amazing insight. We know that farmers do that with their fields. They give their land rest so that they don't deplete all of the nutrients in the soil. God gives them this insight up front. It's amazing. Okay, verse 5, That which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is the year of rest unto the land. And that 7th year you are not going to harvest it. Not like you would before, but we're going to see that they can take from it. They're not going to harvest it and put it in store in their barns, but as they need food, they can go out and take something. Today. Okay, go out there in the field and you can take something, you can eat it, or the poor person can go into the field, they can go and take something and eat it. But this is the time of rest for the land. So you're not going to store up anything. And God said, if you'll do things this way, I'll make it so that your store from the past, you will not run out. You'll skip a year and you'll still be eating from the year before, even a year after that. So God's saying, trust me on this. Let the land rest. You can take something off there on a daily basis as you need or want something, but don't harvest it like before. Let the land rest. Give a Sabbath to your land. And then we get the year of Jubilee. After 7 times these 7 years, you get 49 years. Then on the 50th year, it's a year of Jubilee. Verse 10, Ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. So we're going to get into some laws where if you've lost your land in business transactions, it won't leave your family forever. It's going to come back to your family. And this is so important. And when you go to Africa, you realize it, because they're still very agricultural based, and their land and in their family is so important. People might live in town, but they have land back in the upcountry that's in their family, and it's very important to them. They don't lose it, because that if they come upon hard times in the city, they can go back there and they can grow their crops and they can exist, they can survive. And God's making sure that the people will be able to keep the land. You won't lose your land, because in the year of Jubilee it will come back to the original owner. So no one will be without land. Without land, you can't live, you can't farm, you can't graze cattle, you can't produce so that you can continue. So God saw that everyone needed to keep their land. And on the year of Jubilee, if you made bad business deals and it's been out of your family, it's going to come back into the family. Verse 12, for it is the Jubilee, it shall be holy unto you, you shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. But again, you're not going to store it up. This is another time of rest for the land. Verse 16, according to the multitude of years thou shalt increase the price thereof, and according to the fewness of years thou shalt diminish the price of it. For according to the number of the years of the fruit doth he sell unto thee. And this is getting to the concept, if there's going to be a year of Jubilee, and the 50th year that all the land's going to go back to its original owners, well, you're going to make your business transactions that way. You're going to say, oh, I see that there's only 3 years left to the year of Jubilee, so if I'm going to rent your land and it's going back to you, I would pay you according to that, and according to the 3 years that are left. Or if there's, you just had the year of Jubilee, there might be 49 years left, so you're going to... The business transactions will take in consideration that there's this year of Jubilee coming up. Verse 18, it's a good moral government verse. Wherefore ye shall do my statutes and keep my judgments and do them, and then ye shall dwell in the land in safety, if you keep my laws, if you keep my commandments. The land will yield its fruit, you'll have abundance, you'll never lack. Verse 23, the land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me. So the land must return to its original owners. There's more description about how someone, if they become poor, they lost their land, how it can be redeemed by someone else in their family for them. Verse 29, if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold. Within a full year he may redeem it. He has the right to do that. And if it be redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generations. It shall not go out in Jubilee. And this is that concept that your land and your house back on your homeland is important. But if you bought a house in the city and you sold it, okay, you got space. You have a year that you can get it back, and you can pay for it and get it back. But if that year passes, and you forfeit your right to get your house back, because in the city, those aren't the necessary things. You could go back up country and live, but if you sell your house in the city, it can be gone from you forever. And verse 31, we're back to the idea of having a house back out in the village where your land is. The houses of the villages, which have no wall round about them, shall be counted as the fields of the country, just like land. You can't lose them forever. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. They go back to their original owners. Verse 35, if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen into decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. You have an obligation to help the poor among you. That's what that means. Take no usury of him or increase, but fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee. No usury or interest taken from a brother. Verse 39, don't make slaves of your brethren. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bond servant, but as a hired servant and as a sojourner. Verse 33, you will not rule over him with rigor, That means with cruelty, like he's your slave, but with fear unto God, treating him well, if he's your servant. Verse 46, and ye shall take them, the other people, for your children after you, to inherit them for possession. They shall be your bondsmen. Other people, those that aren't serving God, they can be slaves unto you. But over the brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule one over another with rigor or cruelty. All right. Some more talk then at the end of the chapter about how you deal with a jubilee and making a fair business transaction because of it. And that takes us to chapter 26. Let's go.
Chapter 26 is a chapter of blessings and cursing. So you might just want to write in here Deuteronomy 28. You're going to find it's very similar in that it's a powerful moral government passage that if you obey him and keep his commandments, there will be blessings, there will be rewards. If you disobey and you don't keep his statutes and his judgments, there will be cursings, there will be judgments. And we'll just read a few of them. Verse 3, if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, I will give you rain in due season. The land shall yield her increase. The trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall reach the vintage shall reach the sowing time. Ye shall eat your bread to the full and dwell in safety. I'll give you peace in the land. You shall lie down, none shall make you afraid. I will rid evil beasts out of the land. Neither shall sword go through your land. He shall chase your enemies. They shall fall down before you by the sword. Verse 9, I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. If you want God to show respect unto you, as in respect of persons, keep his commandments, and he will do for you what he will not do for someone who's disobeying him. Now verse 14, if you will not hearken to me and will not do all these commandments, if you shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do my commandments, but that you break my covenant, I will also do this unto you. And now we have a very long list of very bad things that will happen. I will appoint over you terror, consumption, burning ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. You shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursue. And if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. Now we know 7 represents perfect or complete. We're speaking of judgment here. And that perfect judgment came in 70 A.D. They did not hearken unto him. When the cursings came, they did not repent. They continued to disobey him. And the fulfillment of that judgment came in 70 A.D. 19, I will break the pride of your power. I will make your heaven as iron, your earth as brass. Your strength shall be spent in vain. Your land shall not yield her increase, neither shall the trees of the land yield their fruit. 21, if you walk contrary to me and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. So again, that perfect judgment will come. I will send wild beasts among you that shall rob you of your children, destroy your cattle, make you few in numbers, your highways shall be desolate. Verse 24, then I will also walk contrary unto you, if you walk contrary to me. I will punish you yet 7 times for your sin. We have another list of judgments, famine, scarcity of bread. Verse 27, and if you will not for all this hearken unto me, but walk contrary to me, then I will walk contrary to you also in fury, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sin, perfect judgment. And ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and eat the flesh of your daughters. And this is actually recorded during the siege of Jerusalem after 70 A.D. Josephus records that they did eat their children. 32, I will bring the land into desolation. Your enemies which dwell there shall be astonished at it. What did Jesus say in his remaining hours? Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. I will scatter you. I will lay your cities waste. And it just goes on with all the judgments they've brought upon themselves. Verse 40, if they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass, which they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary to me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob and Isaac and Abraham, and I will remember the land. And that's the beauty of God's moral government, is that if we then repent of our wickedness and we choose to obey him, then he can repent of his judgment toward us. He will change his mind and then begin to bless us. So, powerful chapter. I encourage you to read it in its entirety and then skip ahead and read Deuteronomy 28 and see not only the natural but the spiritual implications of obedience toward God.
All right, one more chapter in Leviticus, and we'll be able to end this week there. This chapter 27, concerns offerings that you might give to the Lord, and also the tithe. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When a man shall make a singular vow, the person shall be for the Lord by thy estimation. Things vowed to the Lord may be redeemed by money at the priest's estimation. I know that's a difficult English wording there, but the concept is this. If you had a cart, and you wanted to give it to the service of the Lord, and you give your cart, and after you give your cart, you say, or you promised it, you made a vow, I'm going to give my cart. You say, oh, I really need that cart. I made a bad decision. Can I get that cart back? Well, the priest would look at the cart and value the cart, make an estimation upon the cart, and say, that cart's worth $100. And so he says, if you want to get out of this vow, you've got to give us $120, and then you can have your cart back. So there's a way to redeem your gift, the thing that you vowed unto the Lord, but there's going to be a penalty on it for doing that. And we're going to see a few different examples of this here. And thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years even to 60 years, thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver, and after a shekel of the sanctuary. Okay, the next section here, the next few verses, are about people that have been promised or dedicated to service to the Lord, and this is the value of, placed upon people and the service of a person. Okay. Still, even with this valuation and adding of an extra portion of 20%, there's a toleration principle here. Verse 8, if he be poorer than thy estimation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall value him according to his ability that vowed shall the priest value him. So there was consideration given for someone if they're very poor and they can't make the price plus the premium, that there's a way that they could redeem whatever that they needed to redeem. But the general rule is here in verse 13, if you're going to redeem something, then you're going to need to add a fifth part thereof unto thy estimation. All right, and this is similar to the trespass offering in Leviticus 5, 15, and 16. Trespass or sin of ignorance had the same rule, the value of something plus 20%. Verse 14 talks about, when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it. It's talking about giving a house, whether it be good or bad, as the priest shall estimate it, so shall it stand. So then to redeem a house, or if you promised a house into ministry, into God's service, then to get out of that deal, if you were interested in doing that, you have to offer the value of it plus 20%. offer if you offer a field in verse 19. To redeem it, it's the value plus 20%. Okay, we're getting close here. Verse 29 is a... Apparently there was some kind of people, and they promised their service to God. There was some form here that you could not be redeemed or get out of a deal, because it says here, none devoted which shall be devoted of men shall be redeemed, but shall surely be put to death, which could also be translated, that last line, not that you're put to death, but you're in service until you die. So men, there's some class, some form of making a vow unto God where you're going to serve Him and do something for Him that you cannot get out of that obligation, but you serve until death. Verse 30. Okay, here's the last section on tithe. And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And tithe means a tenth of your increase of what you get off your land. And if a man will at all redeem aught of the tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. If you wanted to keep your tithe, you must, because tithes, they were offerings such as animals and food and things like that. So if you wanted to keep the food instead of giving it, you had to give the value of the food plus 20%. And this is a very interesting scripture, and which is, people are amazed that it's here, because when we go teach about tithing, especially overseas, we don't get a lot of opportunity to do that here. Not a lot of churches asking for such tithing messages. But if you are going to give money instead of what was the law of the tithe, was from your increase, then you must give 120% of the value of the item. So if you're going to give corn, you've got to give 120% value in money of the corn you would have given. So not at all. There's no opportunity to even follow the law of the tithe. There's no one that's doing it. There's no churches that's doing it. We're not commanded to do it. But God did command the Old Testament people in the nation of Israel to do it, because He's working with unregenerate men, and He's going to make sure that there's a funding for ministry for this service of the temple and the priests, so that continue on. But what God expects out of us is, if there's ministry need among us in the body, that our hearts would be tender and it would be provided for by the people. This isn't getting so that we can all skip out of giving and invest in any projects or support in ministry for those that are doing things for us. But God expects from us that our heart would be so tender that the people would naturally give, Spirit naturally give, to support such things as that. He's not going to put a law on people to do it. So that's, yes, we're free from the law of the tithe, but we should have a heart that's so tender that we're easily touched and will give to the work of the ministry. That's where God's brought us to, not to free us from ever giving again. And that's the law about redeeming the tithe. If you wanted to keep the item, whatever you harvested, then you must give 120% to keep it. These are the commandments which the Lord commanded Moses for the children of Israel out of Mount Sinai. That's Leviticus. Great book. Lots of laws and rules that have a lot of meaning for us today. We want to follow the spirit of everything that was said, because the spirit behind it is all good, although we may not come up with the same practice because of that separation now of we're not a natural nation of people that's serving God, but a spiritual one spread out throughout the world. Today we begin the book of Numbers. In your outlines, it's probably page 12, if your outlines match mine. And at the top we see the theme of the book of Numbers is Israel's service and walk before God as a redeemed people. And I would maybe add, we're going to see their failure a lot more than their success. But God continues to work through them, and there's always a remnant that moves on with God. The time covers almost 40 years from Mount Sinai to the Jordan River to cross and go into the Promised Land. And then you see a general outline, a breakdown of the chapters and the major stories that are told there. The purpose is to record, or it's a record, of 40 years of wanderings by Israel in the wilderness. And to record two different numberings of two different generations at the beginning and the end of those 40 years. And at the bottom, as we always have, is the passages that pertain particularly to moral government. So let's begin in chapter 1 of the book of Numbers. And this begins 1 year and 1 month after they leave Egypt. The Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the 2nd month, in the 2nd year, after they were come out of the land of Egypt. And he said this, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their families, with the number of their names, every male, by their polls. Verse 3, From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel. Thou and Aaron shalt number them by their armies. So this is God telling them to take a census of all those who might go to war, all the men 20 years and up. And with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. So there's identified princes or leaders of each of the tribes that will report to Moses. And we go through here, and they're named, the princes or leaders of the tribes. We see here that Levi and Joseph are left out because the Levites, are not going to be a part of going to war. And also, Joseph is not, but in his place is Joseph's sons' names. They become tribes. We've talked about that before. So those make up the 12 tribes. And the leaders are named here. All right. Verse 17, And Moses and Aaron took these men, which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day, the 2nd month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls. As the Lord commanded Moses, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. And now we're going to see how many there were of each tribe. And we'll just run through this real quick. Verse 21, of the tribe of Reuben, there was 46,500. And this is the numbering at the beginning, before they wander in the wilderness 40 years. This is their numbers by tribe. Simeon, 59,300. That's in verse 23. Verse 25, Gad, 45,650. Judah, which I think was the largest, if I remember correctly, the largest group, 74,600, verse 27. Verse 29, Issachar, 54,400. Zebulun, 57,400, in verse 31. Verse 33, Ephraim, 40,500. Verse 35, Manasseh, 32,200. 37, Benjamin, 35,400. 39, Dan, 62,700. 41, Asher, 41,500. 43, Naphtali, 53,400. Verse 44, These are those that were numbered, which Moses and Aaron numbered, and the princes of Israel, being 12, each one was for the house of their fathers. And those all total up, if you were to add those all up, in verse 46, to 603,550. In verse 47, But the Levites, after their tribe of their fathers, were not numbered among them. For the Lord had spoken unto Moses, saying, Only thou shalt not number the tribe of Levi, neither take the sum of them among the children of Israel. But thou shalt appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of testimony, and over all the vessels thereof, and over all the things that belong to it. They shall bear the tabernacle and all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp round about the tabernacle. And when the tabernacle setteth forward, the Levites shall take it down, and when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up. And the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death, for this is the job only of the Levites. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard, throughout their hosts. But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacle of testimony. So they're going to be right around the perimeter of the tabernacle. That there be no wrath upon the congregation of the children of Israel, and that the Levites shall keep the charge of the tabernacle of testimony. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So did they.
Well, let's give this some context. From the time they left Egypt, they came all the way down to Sinai. They were there for the giving of the law. That was maybe like a year. It's only been a month or two since they created everything they needed for the tabernacle. They reared up the tabernacle. The law for all the sacrifices was put into place and were demonstrated and now being offered for the people. And so now I think God sees it set. Okay, I've given the law. It's demonstrated to me. The priests know what they're doing. It's time to move on. Let's number the people. We know that there's going to be war. Let's number who's able to go to war. And so now chapter 2 says, okay, how are we going to camp? We're going to be moving and camping, moving and camping. Let's make sure everybody knows how we're going to camp. And then later we'll see in subsequent chapters, we see instructions for, okay, let's go. We're ready to move. What's everybody's job in the move? Imagine with 603,000 men of war, how many wives and children and elderly that there must have been among them. So this is a large group of people. Okay, so in chapter 2, verse 1, the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard. So the standard was like a pole with a flag on it or a banner, with the ensign of their father's house. So every flag for that tribe would have a symbol representing that tribe. Far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch. So they will be far away from the tabernacle. Now here's where we want to picture what the tabernacle looked like. We know the door of the tabernacle always faced the east. And so now the Lord's going to tell them how each of the 12 tribes will camp compared to how the tabernacle is set up facing east. Verse 3, on the east side, toward the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies. And then it's going to tell who's going to be captain of that host, meaning of that host of fighting men for each tribe. His host and those that were numbered 14,600. These were the numbers we've already read. So Judah is going to be the very first one mentioned, camping on the east, and we're going to see that when they pitch, they call it pitch camp. Is that when you're setting up camp or when you're breaking down your camp? When they break down the camp, Judah was always the first to break camp and to move and would lead the congregation as they moved. So Judah was the first. Verse 5, and those that do pitch next to him shall be the tribe of Issachar. 7, then the tribe of Zebulun and his host. And 9, all that were numbered. Okay, and it says at the end of verse 9, these shall set forth. So picture on the east side, you've got Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. And we've seen this portrayed sometimes in the shape of a cross when you see the different camps camping around the tabernacle, as if Judah would be next to the door and Issachar would be next away from the door, and Zebulun would be next. But I would propose to you that it would be more everyone camping the same distance from the tabernacle. So instead of them going this way, and this way from the tabernacle, they're actually all equal distance from the tabernacle, so that we're going to see they're camping more in a circle around the tabernacle. So that's what I'm going to propose to you based on what we read here in the scripture. Verse 10, on the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben. Verse 12, those which pitch by him shall be the tribe of Simeon. And verse 14, the tribe of Gad shall be next. 18, we see the west side shall be Ephraim, and then Manasseh, and then Benjamin. We're skipping through these because we don't need to read all the names of the captains of the hosts, and I don't think you want to hear me try and do that anyway. And then on the north side, verse 25, shall be Dan, and then Asher, and then Naphtali. So we see how they are camped directly all about in sort of a square circle all around the tabernacle. That's just the basics. It's just the beginning instructions for how they were to set up their camp. Okay, verse 33. But the Levites were not numbered among the children of Israel as the Lord commanded Moses. And we're going to find out later where actually the Levites would pitch their tents. So, and all the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So they pitched by their standards, and so they set forward, every one after their families, according to the house of their fathers. So we see that the family line, the tribe, was still very important and continues to be important all the way down through the destruction of the temple in 70 A.D. We told you before the tabernacle is so important to understand because it's going to be the central focus of their lives and of our study of the Old Testament until the temple is built, in which case it's serving the same function as the tabernacle. So it's very key to everything we're reading.
Okay, I don't know if you picked up on it exactly, but the tribes are grouped in threes, and there is a lead tribe for the three. So with the Judah grouping, Judah is the lead tribe, okay, and the chief of the tribe of Judah is going to lead those three, and the same way around the tabernacle with each of the tribes. Chapter 3. These are also the generations of Aaron and Moses in the day that the Lord spake with Moses in Mount Sinai. These are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, thank you. I have heard that name before. The one I was creating I hadn't heard. Ithamar. Okay, so 4 names of sons of Aaron, and 2 of them are going to get into trouble here. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests which were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord. Okay, we remember reading that in Leviticus 10. What did they do? They had offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office in the sight of Aaron their father. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister unto him. And they shall keep his charge, and the charge of the whole congregation, before the tabernacle of the congregation, to do the service of the tabernacle. And the charge is, this is their responsibility to serve in the tabernacle and take care of everything to do with the tabernacle. And they shall keep all the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the children of Israel to do the service of the tabernacle. And thou shalt give the Levites unto Aaron and his sons. They are wholly given unto him out of the children of Israel. So the Levites to be a tribe of priests. Thou shalt appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall wait upon their priest's office, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. No one else's job to do but the priests, which are the Levites. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, And I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel, instead of all the firstborn that openeth the matrix among the children of Israel. Therefore the Levites shall be mine. And God has referenced this in the past, where he delivered them, he spared them when at the time of Passover, coming out of Egypt, all the firstborn of Israel were spared. And God has referenced how he considers them to be his. Well, he says, instead of taking each one into service of every tribe, I'll take one tribe, and they'll count for all the firstborns that should be mine, because I delivered them all. Verse 13, because all the firstborn are mine, for on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. Mine shall they be. I am the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, Number the children of Levi after the house of their fathers, by their families, every male from a month old and upward shalt thou number them. And Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord as he was commanded. So now we're going to see a division, a subdivision, if you will, of responsibility between the Levites. And I believe there's going to be 3 groups of Levites identified here, and different jobs, different responsibilities for each of them. The first one that's spoken of are the Gershonites, and we see them in verse 21 of Gershon. These are the families of the Gershonites, and the number of them in verse 22, 7,500. And then we're told what the Gershonites will do. The families of the Gershonites shall pitch behind the tabernacle westward. That's where they're going to camp. The chief of the Gershonites shall be this person, verse 24. The charge of the Gershonites, what is their responsibilities? Verse 25, they'll be, and the charge of the sons of Gershon in the tabernacle of congregation shall be the tabernacle, and the tent, and the covering thereof, and the hanging for the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the hangings of the court, and the curtain for the door of the court, which are by the tabernacle, and by the altar round about, and the cords of it, for all the service thereof. So that's what they have to take care of. When it comes time to move, they have the tent. They have the covering over the tent. They have the linen fence that's around. They have all the hangings. Those are what they're in charge of, putting together and moving. Now the next group is Kohath, or the Kohathites, in verse 27. And their number in verse 28 was 8,600. Verse 31, their charge shall be the furniture, the ark, the table, the candlestick, the altars, the vessels of the sanctuary, wherewith they minister, and the hanging and the service thereof. That's what they're in charge of moving. And one more family, Merari, verse 33. They're Merariites. And the total of them in verse 34 was 6,200. Okay, so what's left? They basically have to do what's left here in verse 36. Their custody and charge shall be the boards, the bars, the pillars, the sockets. So the foundation of the tabernacle and all of the framework of the tabernacle. I consider this most of the heavy stuff that they're going to be in charge of moving. Verse 38. But those that encamp before the tabernacle toward the east, even before the tabernacle congregation eastward, shall be Moses and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. So Moses and Aaron are right in front of the front door of the tabernacle.
One thing we might want to just pick out of what he read was, we already read how the 12 tribes were camping and on which side they were camping on. Well, we see the Kohathites were camping on the south side of the tabernacle, directly right alongside it. The Gershonites were on the west side, and the Merarites were on the north side, with Moses and Aaron on the east side, right in front of the gate. So remember why they put the curtain of the court all the way around the tabernacle? Was to keep everyone out, because if anyone were to come into this holy place and touch anything, they would die. So they have a curtain. And now God has also placed the tribe of Levi camping around even the curtain of the court, so that they not only would be there to do the service, but also as another, I think, a buffer zone between the people and this holy place.
Okay, let's see. We see the total number of the Levites in verse 39 were 20 and 2,000. Verse 40, and the Lord said unto Moses, number all of the firstborn of the males of the children of Israel from a month old and upward, and take the number of their names, and thou shalt take the Levites for me, I am the Lord. Instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, which rightfully belong to me, I'll take the Levites. And the cattle of the Levites, instead of all the firstlings among the cattle of the children of Israel. And Moses numbered, as the Lord commanded, all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and all the firstborn males by the number of names from a month old and upward. And those that were numbered of them were 20 and 2,273. So in verse 39, we have the total number of Levites, 22,000. And in verse 43, we have the total number of firstborn, 22,273. So there's a difference here of 2,273, which God would be shortchanged here in this deal. So there's going to be redeeming of those folks.
Is it 273?
2,273?
No, difference would be 273.
I'm sorry, 273. That's correct. 273. Good accounting. Verse 44, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the children of the Levites instead of their cattle, and the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. I think I read something like that. And for those that are to be redeemed of the 273, which are more than the Levites. So you did a count. There's more firstborns among all of the tribes than there are Levites. So something more is due me. Thou shalt even take 5 shekels apiece by the poll. After the shekel of the sanctuary shalt thou take them. And thou shalt give the money wherewith the odd number of them, which is the balance of them, is to be redeemed unto Aaron and his sons. And Moses took the redemption money of them that were over and above them that were redeemed just by the Levites. And the firstborn of the children of Israel took he the money, 1,305, or threescore shekels, 1365, which is 5 times 273. And Moses gave the money of them that were redeemed unto Aaron and his sons, so it's going to go into ministry for the Lord, according to the word of the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses.
All right, now we come to the instructions for travel. God has them all camping in an order which he wants them to lead out, and who's going to come in the middle, who's going to follow. He's going to give instructions to the priests about how they're to do their service, because the most important part of the traveling is the packing up and the moving of the tabernacle and the setting it back up again. The Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, take the sum of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi after their families by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even until 50 years old, all that enter into the host to do the work in the tabernacle of the congregation. So God's very specific with who qualifies to do this service, and in this case it was 30 to 50 years old. Verse 4, this shall be the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation about the most holy things. When the camp setteth forward, when it's time to move, this is the first thing that happens. Aaron shall come and his sons, and how many sons does he have? He has 2 right now. And his sons, they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of the testimony with it, and shall put thereon the covering of badger skins, and shall spread over it a cloth wholly of blue, and shall put in the staves thereof. And upon the table of showbread they shall spread a cloth of blue, and put thereon the dishes and the spoons and the bowls, and covers to cover withal. And the continual bread shall be thereon. And they shall spread upon them a cloth of scarlet, and cover the same with a covering of badger skin, and shall put in the staves thereof. They shall take a cloth of blue, and cover the candlestick of the light, and his lamps, and his tongs, and his snuff dishes, and all the oil vessels thereof, wherewith they minister unto it. And they shall put it and all the vessels thereof within a covering of badger skin, and shall put it upon a bar. And upon the golden altar they shall spread a cloth of blue, and cover it with a covering of badger skins, and shall put to the staves thereof. And this continues on all the way through verse 14. So Aaron and his sons, and whoever may be acting as a priest within Aaron's family, this is the first thing they do, is they take the most holy part of the instruments and the vessels and the furniture, and they cover it with royal colors, and they cover it with leather to protect it. And this is before anything else. Verse 15. When Aaron and his sons have made an end of covering the sanctuary and all the vessels of the sanctuary, as the camp is to set forth, after that the sons of Kohath shall come and bear it. So all they had to do was cover it. Kohath and his sons come to carry it. But they shall not touch any holy thing, lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation. So it's very well covered, also carried with staves, carried with poles, so that there would be no need to touch it. And we're going to find out that although the other two groups, the Gershonites and the Merarites, they're given wagons and they're given oxen to bear the burden of what they're responsible for in the tabernacle. But the Kohathites had to actually carry it by hand. It was their literal burden to carry these things of the tabernacle. Verse 16, to the office of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, pertaineth the oil for the light, the sweet incense, the daily meat offering, the anointing oil, and the oversight of all the tabernacle and of all that is therein in the sanctuary and the vessels thereof. Verse 18, cut ye not off the tribe of the families of Kohathites from among the Levites, but thus do unto them, that they may live and not die, when they approach unto the most holy things. Aaron and his sons shall go in, and appoint them every one to his service and to his burden. But they shall not go in to see when the holy things are covered, lest they die. So he said, don't cut off this tribe. Don't cause them all to die. Make sure they're all covered, and then you bring them in and you appoint their tasks to them so that they will live. Verse 22, the house of Gershon, the Gershonites, again, ages 30 to 50. Verse 24, this is the service of the families of the Gershonites. They're going to bear the curtains of the tabernacle, same thing Brian read before. The covering of the badger skins, the hanging of the door, the hangings of the court, the cords, the instruments of service. Verse 29, the sons of Merari, 30 to 50 years old. Verse 31, the boards, the bars, the pillars, the sockets, the cords, everything according to that service, that's what they're going to bear. So verse 34, they numbered the Kohathites from 30 to 50 years old, and they got 2,750. That's how many were able to do the service of carrying the items from the tabernacle. I can't imagine it would have taken more than a dozen, but there were 2,750 to bear that burden. The house of Gershon had 2,630 that qualified to do the service of the tabernacle. And verse 42 starts Merari. From ages 30 to 50, there were 3,200 that qualified to do the service of the tabernacle. 48, even those that were numbered of them were 8,580 total. According to the commandment of the Lord, they were numbered by the hand of Moses, every one according to his service and according to his burden. So very specific instructions given about who was to do what as the tabernacle set forward.